Hello, welcome to News Desk. I am Amiesi Nyameche Thompson. Top stories this hour. Nat'l Economic Dialogue proposes sale of selected assets belonging to the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, Volta River Authority, VRA, and Bui Power Authority to offset ECG's legacy debt.
Legacy debts. The options include create an opportunity to release ECG equity in fiscal assets to raise funds.
More to come as the committee renegotiates power purchase agreements. Also coming up, relative calm returns to Northeast region after days of turmoil. We'll delve into the details of that and we'll be live over there for the very latest. Also, government advisory team on illegal mining immobilizes and seizes equipment in towns across the western and central regions despite results from illegal minings there. These plus business updates on News Desk. We'll be right back. We start from the energy sector, and the National Economic Dialogue Structural and Policy Reforms Committee has recommended the sale of selected assets owned by ECG, VRA, and Bui Power Authority to address the legacy debt. ECG owes independent power producers more than $2 billion to the independent power producers. Now, the committee warns that ECG's liability could escalate to about $9 billion by 2027 if no actions are taken. Dr. KK Sapon chairs the Structural and Policy Reforms Committee at the dialogue.
There is a social expectation of ECG and NETCO by government to supply electricity affordably to lifetime consumers in low-income households. Obviously, a social policy has got a social cost. Somebody must pay for it. And we believe the vulnerable must be protected in one way or the other. And that means that if we have a fair estimation, then that should be a budget line in the budget, which then will cater for the subsidization. We know that ESLA was there. The question is it relevant? So far as we have legacy debt, we may see whether there's any room for ESLA to continue. But if we deal with the operational inefficiencies, thus we try to be efficient, then maybe there won't be much to worry about. There's also some conflict between ECG and VRA as to who should do export, who should do what. I think this must be streamlined so that we can get optimal results. With regard to the legacy debts, we believe there should be a vehicle to raise funds to service the legacy debts, while ensuring all the necessary protocols are complied with. The options include create an opportunity to release ECG equity in fiscal assets to raise funds, a form of privatization, by something that we need to be thought through carefully. Then also, VRA has got some thermal assets that we believe VRA and Bui, if they have to run on hydro, then maybe these thermal assets can be put together and in one form or other raise money, either as a joint venture with another person or sell the assets completely, and that money which is realized can go towards the servicing of the legacy debts.
Well, still at the National Economic Dialogue, Finance Minister Dr. Adom Fufu asked for immediate implementation of key recommendations from the dialogue, emphasizing that the time for discussion has passed and action must be started.
One thing for sure, they say like minds think alike. Most of the presentations actually feed into the very first presentation I made. And it clearly shows the connections and the understanding that together we understand the situation and the problems of this country. What is left is a resolve to come together and to fix it. Implementation is the challenge, but we can only implement as a government if we get the buy-in of the citizens. What I would like to say is that beginning 11th of March, the government will introduce the 2025 budget statement and economic policy. Most of the concerns you've raised, you'll begin to see them in the budget. But don't leave the government alone. We call on you to support the government in educating the public, for the public to understand that the time has come for us to reset and reform the economy. We got to do this together. And so clearly, what I can say is most striking to me, particularly sitting there quietly, is the interconnectedness between the macro group to the private sector to infrastructure to all the other sectors, even to the governance and the corruption subsector, the need for us to do major reforms. And so the solution is there. We know the problems. We know what we have to do to resolve the problems. Let's start the implementation.
Wow.
And so I will wait for the communique. Then so together, I can use the communique as my Bible going into the preparation of the budget and to make recommendations to Cabinet for adoption and approval.
Wonderful.
For us to input in.
Thank you very much. Please ask God.
We have on the line Professor Lord Mensah, a financial economist, to get us further details on this. Professor Lord Mensah, we're grateful for your time on News Desk. I mean, there's the suggestion that ECG, VRA, Bui Power, selected assets should be sold to take care of the debt that is at the energy sector. What do you make of this suggestion?
Yes, so when we look at ECG over the years, I think we have, positioned our mindset as, a state asset, which is classified under state-owned, part of the state-owned enterprise. Now, anything that has, state, background, sometimes, we don't normally take them serious. So from where I sit, looking at selling off those assets to offset, existing debt, of course, I think is the right thing to do, because if a company or a firm is not doing well and there are some assets that you think they are redundant and they're not that active, playing much role as far as the company is concerned, you can lay it off and then use it to, offset the company. But that shouldn't end there. I think ECG's mismanagement goes beyond just, selling off, assets. I think we may have to look at, the governance and the management of ECG. And from where I sit, we may have to completely, dissociate it from the state. And possibly even if the state will have interest in there, it should not be a majority interest. Because a typical Ghanaian has this attitude of that kind of behavior, which normally takes us to, those, critical and, strategic assets like ECG, how we manage them. So from where I sit, I think it's in order, but then it shouldn't end there. After the, selling of those assets, they should take into consideration the governance structure, possibly, get an SPV, which is purely managed by a private entity, to take over the management of, ECG. And I think they will see it in the form of a profit-making venture. And by so doing, all decisions may be, something that will help, the country. So, it's in the right direction, but it shouldn't end there.
Should be a renegotiation of the power purchase agreement. How do you suggest that the IPPs be approached in this regard?
Yes, of course, it's going to be a difficult thing because when, someone is at the helm of affairs as maybe energy minister going on a negotiation table with an IPP, and then a new government comes in to sit down for a new negotiation, it's going to be a difficult thing, but it depends on, the earlier negotiation and how far is it from the realistic, prices that are being, paid, and possibly the profit that, these IPPs are looking for. If there are IPPs that are in here to, in Ghana, to make exorbitant profit, then obviously it's going to be difficult negotiating with them. But maybe if they can come to terms and appreciate, the realities of business, in the country, obviously they should be able to, come to terms with, those who go to table with them.
Well, considering that there's the suggestion of the sale of assets and also the renegotiation of power purchase agreements, this could affect operational costs, wouldn't it? How is that? Will that translate into increase in tariffs?
Well, at this time, looking at the way the economy is, a typical Ghanaian cannot, will not be able to absorb any increase in tariffs, and especially when you have a lot of people who are out of job, and then also, inflation has gone up to swallow, our disposable income of a typical Ghanaian worker. Any increase in, salaries will not go well as far as the management of the economy is concerned. But then if operations costs should go up, obviously it has to be priced, and it needs to be pushed to the consumer. But then what I can tell you is that whether the consumer will be ready to accept it or not, that is one way, another thing.
Lord Mensah, we're grateful, but please stay with us. We'll be right back. We also have on the line Charles Appiah. He's head of business and economic bureau at GUTA. What do you make of the latest suggestions by the Economic Dialogue Committee suggesting that ECG assets should be sold, and then also the renegotiation of power purchase agreements?
My point will not deviate from what Dr. Mensah just suggested. Probably I have this philosophy that leadership is about responsibility and accountability. Why will you run a state asset and record deficit? At what point did you see that you are recording negatives? And what interventions did you implement to avert it? So there's a need not only to sell the asset, but whoever have caused us this debt must be called to answer. No matter how structured your corporate governance is, if there's no check and balances, if there's no accountability, there's no punishment and reward, we will not get anywhere. It's not the first time we recorded state assets in the negatives, but we have always allowed the status quo to remain. To change the narrative, we must hold people accountable. And when that is done, and we look for a strategic partner to run this enterprise, then we know we are making changes. So it's not only about selling it, but we must hold leadership accountable to why they will lead such strategic security investment to run at a debt. That is there. And the fact is this, it also contributes to the cost of doing business in Ghana. It also contributes to why people don't want to go to manufacturing, because cost of utility is very high, because leaders that we have placed responsibility to manage such assets mismanage them, and they pass on their irresponsibility to us through cost. So we are talking about resetting Ghana, resetting the economy. Accountability is one of them. Responsibility is one of them. That is where we can understand the government is serious in changing the narratives. Until that, it will be BAU, and we are not ready for that.
Well, also on the sale, how do you suggest government or even the private sector gets involved in the liquidization of the assets?
It is about transparency. We were in this country that a certain private sector wanted to manage ECG, and we all realized what happened. If government want to liquidate the assets, how great will that transaction be? Are we going to get value for money, or we are going to be ripped off again as a country? You can sell, but at what cost? What will be the economic translation to the country? Are we selling to make ECG better or to worsen their situation? These are the few we should be looking at. Not only interested in selling it, but what is the effects of liquidating it? What is the effect of getting the private sector to come in to more or less to revamp the sector? Well, that is what we are in.
Mr. Pia, if this should translate into tariff increase, are you able, or would you be able to, will you accept that?
Why should we accept someone's irresponsibility? Businesses, we are not ready to absorb anyone's irresponsibility. That is why I suggested that leadership is about accountability and responsibility. What caused us this? Over the period when government mismanaged the economy, when state institutions manage their setup, they pass on these costs to us through tariff increment and through taxation. We are not ready to do that. We cannot do that.
But
so you are not responsible, and whatever loss they have caused the state, must be called to account for it and refund.
Well, Mr. Pia, you talk about resetting the economy, and part of it is all of us making sacrifices. So don't you think you also have to pitch in where you have to?
I cannot sacrifice for your irresponsibilities. I cannot sacrifice for your mismanagement. We can't do that. We can't run a country like that. We are ready to sacrifice for the country when the cost is justified. But we cannot be left hollow that I will mismanage and someone else take my responsibility. That is not the way forward for a country that we want to reset.
Right.
There must be deterrent policies, interventions that will make it unattractive for people to mismanage setup that's like ECG. But if they were allowed to go off the hook and set costs as part on to the business, then where are we going as a country?
Well, Professor, thank you, Mr. Pia. Professor Lord Mensah, I beg your pardon, forgive me. I assume that this is a stopgap measure for the situation in the energy sector, but what do you suggest should be the long-term solution so that we do not come back to this position?
Yeah, I think in a long term, you see, ECG is a strategic asset for the country. But then we don't seem to know exactly what, ECG stands for and the benefits that, it gives the country. So we have, more or less, cut it out as a state asset, which is more or less creating trouble for us. In many cases, people who have been appointed even to some of these state agencies, trust me, the expertise and the know-how to ascertain, the kind of project ECG goes into, and then the benefit that we want to reap from it, becomes a problem. So from where I sit, I think we may have to really look at, the ownership structure of ECG. Possibly, getting the private man. I'm not saying that, private man should come in, 100%. But then the states may have interest in there because, of course, if you leave it for the private man, there's going to be, pricing problems. At the end of the day, the private man will go all out for the profit that he's looking for. And Ghana is a country where we still have, people who need light, but they're still living below the poverty line. And at the end of the day, they may want to switch their light on for economic activities and other things. So the government may have interest in to just control the pricing, but then in the end, majority stake should go to the private man. And let's have that kind of, public-private partnership, thing in there to see how it works. Because from where I sit, looking at it as solely as, state-owned agency has not been working for us. Let me put it that way. Yeah.
Well, you heard there, Charles Appiah. Just before you go, very briefly, Charles Appiah says they will not bear the brunt of their responsibility of management at ECG. How then do we move from there if tariffs are supposed to be increased to, accrue some revenue for ECG following their asset sale?
Well, for now, we're looking at revenue targeting the customer and then the consumer. But then have we thought about, cost cutting? If some people have to lose their job as a result of mismanagement, they have to, to bring down the cost. So effectively, I think, that's how I see it. Right. If revenue pushing, high tariffs to customers and then consumers and they cannot pay, you better lower your cost. And one way or the other is one of the prudent management you can have for every organization.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor Lord Mensah, as a financial economist, and Charles Appiah, Head of Business and Economic Bureau at GUTA. Now, we're moving on from the economic dialogue, and there's been relative calm in the northeast region after weeks of turmoil there. A curfew was imposed on Wale Wale and its environs in a bid to ensure violence there ends. Last week, more than 20 basic primary schools in Bimbago Circuit in the Bumpurugu Nakpanduri district were closed after renewed violence between the Nanik and Bimbango communities. Let's speak now to our Northeast Regional Correspondent, Ilyasu Tanko. Ilyasu, what is the current situation there? Ilyasu, unmute and speak to us.
Can you hear me, Mami?
Loud and clear. Go ahead.
So it's a very concerning situation in the Northeast region as authorities are raising to ensure there's restoration of calm in many parts of the region. As you rightly mentioned, as to speak, there is curfew in Wale Wale, and which has also brought a lot of issues about military brutalities that have both led to the death of 2 people and injury of many others, as well as the destruction of properties. In the Bunkurugu Nakpanduri district, as you mentioned rightly, there was a renewed violence between the Nani community and Bimbago community. That have led to the close down of 21 schools. 3 people have been confirmed dead, and several dozens of houses are set ablaze. As we speak, we have over nearly 1,000 people that are internally displaced in the area. Most of them are currently living with family and friends. The entire Nani community is deserted. You go there, you see only security personnel that is currently patrolling the area. Most people in the Bimbago community have also left the community. Just by way of background, this conflict has been simmering since September of last year, and it has been over the elevation of the Nanik chief to a paramount status that have caused the anger of the people of Bimbago. Clearly, they are claiming that the settlers, the people of Nanik, the land there belongs to them. They gave it to the people of Nanik.
Right. Ilyasu, hold on for me. We have the regional minister on the line with us, Mr. Ibrahim Tia. We're so grateful for your time. And as we've been hearing from our regional correspondent, the situation has not been really good over there. But what factors led you to take this decision of closing down so many schools?
Good morning.
Good morning.
As Ilyasu spoke on, when the conflict broke out, 3 people were killed, including a teacher. and the teacher not native to that place. He comes from a different district. So it was just the course that got. Now, teachers who are off Syria have started. They are like.
Mr. T, I seem to be losing you. Could you reposition yourself for us, please?
Oh, okay.
Kindly reposition yourself so that we can get a clearer sound from you.
Oh, okay. Is it better now?
Much better, please.
Great. So I'm saying that in the course of the attack, 3 teachers lost their lives.
Right.
And one of the teachers is not even a native from that area. Aside that, there's no reason we should even lose a chief as a result of this attack. So most of the teachers have fled the area, even the children to their feet. Apart from that, with this attack, we don't know where it will even escalate up to a point that it may get school children. So the first thing for us to do is for us to close down the schools so that we see how we can get lasting peace to the area, and then we'll open the schools.
Okay.
Apart from that, we have also tried to reintegrate the final year students in the DHS and the SHS join the nearby schools in Napanduri or Bunkuru so that they can continue to write their exams without any hindrance. Yeah.
So what are the... go ahead.
RICSEC, in consultation with the relevant stakeholders and the overlord, are meeting to see how we can find a lasting solution to the problem. Yeah.
What are the immediate security measures you've put in place aside shutting down the schools?
We've deployed security men who are there 24/7 patrolling the area. And as of now, there's relative calm in the area.
Right. But you said the school children are currently going to school in other areas. Is that the stopgap measure for them now that their schools have been shut down?
That is for those who are about to write from the GHS and the final year students for now, because there shouldn't be any stopping their learning.
Okay.
Yeah.
So until the schools reopen, the other students cannot go to school. They remain at home.
For now, we are reviewing the situation on the ground, and at appropriate time, if the situation still calm, the security information that the skills from the ground, then we can get the school.
Okay. How about economic activities? Farmers, those that are engaged in economic activities, so that they also find, their daily meals. What's happening to them? Is it that they can do their work, or there's some measures put in place for them?
Well, certainly once there's calm, people will go about their economic duties as of now. But just that we cannot take the situation that won't help on the when we are fully convinced the situation normalized, and I think that is where we think of maybe getting the schools reopened.
Right. But how soon can we find a solution to this situation? It seems that too often we are hearing attacks here and there. We haven't heard of any arrest. How is it that up till now we've not been able to get perpetrators behind these attacks?
I think the security forces are working on that, and certainly it's not every information that we can put in the public domain. All
right. Thank you, sir. We're grateful for your time here on News Desk. We also have on the line Dr. Victor Doke, who is a security analyst. And Dr. Doke, I assume you've been listening into the conversation. What are your takeaways from what the regional minister has been saying?
Well, thank you very much. Good morning to you and your cherished viewers. I think from what the minister, just said, it shows and depicts that they have this situation under control. Him together with the other stakeholders, the security apparatus in that area, and then well-meaning stakeholders. But then this causes for us to take a look at how chieftaincy, issues have been springing up here and there, resulting in violent clashes. I think the chieftaincy minister has to look on his hands with regards to mapping out existing, chieftaincy issues that results in conflicts leading to violent clashes. And also the security chiefs, the head state minister, the press minister, other social security agencies all have attacks on their hands. Now, when we look at the northern part of Ghana itself, from time immemorial, it's been issues about chieftaincy. If it is not, then it's about boundary lines or land, which is hard now. So I think going forward, the authorities, the minister for chieftaincy, regional ministers, and all the stakeholders have to come together and really map out with regards to all chieftaincy conflicts that are, in existence now, and then try and find lasting solutions to avoid these clashes here and there.
All right, Dr. Doke, shutting down a school, sometimes curfews being imposed and whatnot. What should be the ideal situation such that innocent, residents will not be inconvenienced when it comes to situations like this? Every time they are at the other end receiving, at the brunt of what's happening. Should it always be the case that schools are shut down or economic activities are shut down?
Well, in times of, conflict and violent clashes, to prevent further loss of lives, you're best sure that one of the approaches is to shut down the schools and other essential, services, so that you don't involve the innocent civilians in the clashes, or they may not be caught up in the line of exchange of fire. Now, it's one of the mechanisms in preventive, violent clashes. I heard the minister talk about the deployment of security services in those areas. Now, by and large, curfews are one of the ways when it comes to the direct prevention measure that is being, used or implemented with regards to imminent and immediate attacks such as these. So it's one of the preventive mechanisms so to avoid, human lives being lost in the clashes, i.e. the women, the children who cannot, be very resistant when it comes to these attacks. So it's for their safety that the schools and other social agencies would have to be shut down until calmness is restored, and then gradually they open up to the society again. It's unfortunate these things that happen, especially when I heard the minister talk about the school children who are about to write their exams being have to. So it means that commuting to the other neighboring towns and all of that. How do we ensure their safety and security also is another problem. By and large, it means the students will have to be getting tired here and there because they have to move from home to other communities, and you have to look at all these things. So it's unfortunate, but then this is one of the measures that they have to put in place to ensure prevent further loss of lives.
Grateful for your time, Dr. Victor Doke. He's a security analyst, and we've been hearing also from our correspondent, Elias Sutanko, and the regional minister on the current situation over there. We'll definitely keep an eye there and then bring you updates on the very latest. Well, there's been angry reactions from illegal miners and party officials as government advisory team on a fact-finding mission on illegal mining immobilized and seized Galamsey equipment in towns across the western and central regions. The team seized pumping machines, generators, excavators, and destroyed chamfan machines at Anya, close to Nkrofo, Pristia, and Dunkwa. But at Dunkwa, the team met resistance from owners of the illegal mining operations along the Ofin River. Led by the NDC constituency chairman, they mobilized a number of people threatening to face off with a team of armed soldiers. Erastus Asari Donko reports.
The government's advisory team has been assessing areas impacted hugely by Galamsey across the country. Their work is to inform policy direction and an impending enforcement drive. In some instances, the team is compelled to step in to take action to stop the impunity of illegal miners. One of such places is Anya, close to Nkrofo. The illegal miners have eaten deep into the road, almost destroying the concrete storm drains. The team raided their camp, immobilized their equipment, and set their camps on fire. Rear Admiral retired Moses Bekbafo is a member of the team.
This area is called Anya. We saw that mining activities are taking place very close to the road. So we stopped to speak to the people to find out if they have any licenses. And when they saw us, they took off. ran into the bush. There were about over 50 people. So when we got down, we saw this covert here. They have dug through the storm drain and then exposed the concrete and the base. It is almost on the road. Beyond that, they have also dug to as close as 10 feet from the road. It is already caving in, and once the heavy rain sets in, we think that part will cave in, and it might affect the road and render it unmotorable.
A similar illegal mining operation behind a technical school at Nkrofol was halted by the team. Pumps, generators, and other equipment were seized. At Badwa number 2 in the Upper Dentra East District of the Central Region, the team raided this illegal mining site, polluting the Ofin River. Residents say the Galamsey operation exposes them to floods and adversely affects farming in the area.
Even when the land had not been mined, we suffered from floods. So you can imagine what will happen with this level of degradation when it rains. We are hopeless and worried. We will be in trouble in June when the rain sets in.
We used to fish in this river, but now it has been so polluted, it is affecting farming and even our source of water.
Because
Minutes after the raid, the team was accosted on the road by an angry NDC constituency chairman who says he was not consulted before the operation. Some party faithful, some of whom were mining in the town, blocked the road, preventing the team from assessing the impact of Galamsey in the town. An aerial scan revealed a huge excavation in the middle of the Dunkwal township, close to the main bridge. An angry mob, threatening to face off with the armed soldiers, besieged the bridge where the team had parked their vehicles. Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, Kumasi.
You're still listening to or watching Joy News Desk. We'll take a break. When we return, we have business.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to Business. My name is Darryl Kwao. Ghana recorded a marginal inflation drop from 23.5% to 23.1% in February 2025. According to the government statistician, Professor Samuel Kobne, this was driven by a decline in food inflation by 1.8%. We've got more on that story coming up in subsequent bulletins. Now, the West African Gas Pipeline Authority says it is committed to the gas pipeline treaty that will see the sub-region connected in the area of gas supply as part of the ECOWAS energy policy. The gas pipeline treaty, signed in 2003 by 4 countries, has a vision to connect other member states. The subsea gas pipeline from Nigeria terminates in Ghana, but Director General of the authority, Chafari Kaya Hanawa, says countries that wish to join can accede to the treaty. Speaking in term after inspecting maintenance works by WAPCO, she indicated that the extension will largely depend on demand of gas. Kwame Anka has more.
The 678 West African gas pipeline from Nigeria currently terminates in Ghana, but this is expected to be extended by the West African Gas Pipeline Company Limited, WAPCO, all the way to Senegal. However, a number of conditions would have to be met to make this possible after acceding to the existing treaty signed by Nigeria, Benin, Togo, and Ghana. These include demand and availability of gas, viability of the extension, tariffs, investments, among other factors. Chafari Kanya Hanawa is the Director General of West African Gas Pipeline Authority, WACPA.
The aim is to connect the sub-region
It's not just for it to stop at the 4 countries. But you know, before you can extend, there are some economic criteria they have to look at it. Somebody is going to put his money to construct. Are there customers that are ready to take gas? Is there gas available? Because it doesn't make sense for you to just extend and there is no gas to put in the pipeline. So it's a combination of many things. But for us as WACPA, because we do part of our function, like we mentioned to you earlier, is facilitation. We facilitate, we represent, and we regulate. These are the 3.
Meanwhile, Chafari Kanya Hanawa revealed the authority has engaged Côte d'Ivoire on the gas pipeline project.
If you are advocating extension, you must also tell them how it will benefit them. So these are the things we always put on the table as we know it, as we see it done. We are not, WACPA is not out to just extend the pipeline. If it will not benefit you, we cannot sell, like they say in law, you cannot give what you don't have. So we have seen that for the countries that are gas off-takers on the WACP, we have seen the benefits for them. And we are saying, okay, why not? And again, a country like Côte d'Ivoire, they have gas. So it's also an opportunity for them to also sell their own gas on the pipeline. So we told them all this is for them to just go, sleep over it, look at the economic gain they will have.
WACPA maintains natural gas offers countries in West Africa cheaper source of energy for power production and its related benefits. Kwame Yankes reports for Joy Business.
Some more business stories for you. Chairman of the Chamber of Oil Marketing and LPG Companies, Gabriel Kumi, has warned government against any move to push local dealers aside in the quest to implement the cylinders recirculation model. According to him, the Ghanaian dealers have invested heavily in the industry and stand ready to support government policies aimed at improving gas supply across the country. Mr. Kumi advised government to engage widely in order to have a successful implementation of the policy.
They haven't made any push on CRM. I think all the push that was done previous years, and you saw the reaction of our members. I mean, we had to come out very strongly to defend our investment and to defend the over 12,000 Ghanaians that we employ. We are yet to engage the new MPA political bosses to see what direction CRM must move. But it's obvious that the old approach has not worked and it's not going to work. We have always said that we cannot stop government from implementing its policies, but your policy must not come to destroy the investment of indigenous Ghanaians. Any attempt to push indigenous Ghanaians who have built the industry for over 30 years aside in the name of introducing a policy will be fiercely and fearlessly resisted. That one I must assure you. We are ready to cooperate. We are ready to engage. So at the end of the day, if we are called for any engagement on CRM, we'll be ready to go.
The news continues after the break.
Welcome back to Newsdeck, and as you can see, I'm very, very excited because this part of the show is really, really exciting. You have to wait, but are your bowls ready? Is your asanka set? Because tomorrow, the Adom Fufu party will set your stomach on fire with sumptuous meal. Tim Abena Pokiarine joins me with details, and she comes in with the fufu, with the asanka, with the tapoli. Yeah!
Tim. Oh, the fufu is here. The fufu is here. It's here. Oh yeah.
It's demure. It's cutesy.
Oh wow.
Where's the fufu?
The fufu is there. It's under.
And I'm not surrounding.
So you could see
whether I can eat with.
Okay,
Oh,
so we have spoon for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Just taste.
Traditionally, it's Ghana month.
Oh, yes.
We will have to wash our hands first. I think this time I have to wash my hands.
You have to.
You have to.
So this is fufu and what?
Abekati
konto. We have. So there's
a bit of kontomire.
A kontomire.
A bit of palm nuts.
This is tilapia.
Yes.
Okay.
You also have.
I think I have to taste.
We have chicken wings.
Let me taste the fish.
We have meat.
And this really tastes good.
Delicious.
It's really good. Oh my God, who cooked this?
Africa.
Oh wow! Please tell us. This soup. I think is a mixture of palm nuts and then abe.
So abe.
Oh my goodness, this is really nice.
Palm nut soup. We have the palm nuts itself.
Yeah.
We have kontomire, and then we have the groundnut paste.
Okay. Oh wow.
This is let me say all stars.
Combination.
Of
all the stars.
Exactly.
Formation here 433.
433. Yeah. 433.
That's really delicious, man.
And we have tilapia in it. We have chicken in it. We have beef in it.
I've tasted the tilapia. I've tasted the willy.
Okay.
It's really good.
Yes.
What I also like a lot is the mushrooms.
Yeah.
Will some feature tomorrow? Because I'm coming home.
Stop.
They'll be expecting you.
I'm borrowing this one.
Oh, madam.
But tell us. So the show is coming off tomorrow.
Of course.
Independence. There's no way you can miss this.
Exactly.
So Irene, tell us what are the details for tomorrow's event?
Okay, so tomorrow we have a lot of our local delicacy, which is fufu. It is really fufu, and it is going to be eaten in the asanka, the everywhere bowl. Okay. So you are supposed to come with chaiwa, just as I have mine. You come and then we just place it. We give you your fufu. All the soups, we have the palm nut soup, granite soup.
This soup must feature.
Oh, it's all.
This soup must feature. It's very tasty.
It's all.
Abekati konto. Hey, Charlie.
We will have dry fish.
Let me be drinking small whilst you talk.
Yes, bush meat, fresh fish, everything. It's a combination. We are inviting you to be present tomorrow. Okay. Just in front of us, the Kokomime streets. So that we enjoy.
You know what I'm liking right now? It's so irritating the way she's eating and we are talking.
I've not yet tasted. Let me taste.
No. This is mine. Daryl, you cannot invade my set like this.
You can't do this in China.
Daryl,
I thought it was a ladies' affair.
No. Hey, Daryl, wait. No, this is my show. You can't come and Daryl, wait. Relax your body. Cool down. Okay, wait. I'll give you some of the fish, but wait. After the show, right now. To control. So viewers, it's coming off tomorrow.
Yes.
And it's going to be exciting. You have to bring your asanka.
Of course.
Like this. You can bring the big one. In fact, this is mine. Wait.
But I'd like to talk about some of the performing artists.
Indeed, let's know about that.
Sponsors too.
Yeah, Joyce Blessing.
Okay.
You know, Unbreakable.
Wonderful,
so
Unbreakable.
Dancing.
Yes.
And then Samuel Owusu.
Daryl,
do you remember this song?
Daryl. Yeah,
Don't try it. Don't try this at home.
Okay, but it's
so Samuel Owusu will be there.
Okay.
And then Poor Nation. Raskuku would also be in the building.
Okay.
And we have surprise performance.
Yes.
And then another one is MOG and Friends will be cooking.
Okay. Oh, really?
So there's a gospel corner. So the MOG and Friends will be cooking tomorrow. So if you come, you can pass through. You can take pictures with your favorite celebrities and all that. So it's going to be really fun.
Team.
And the fufu is free.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
It's free. All you need is your asanka.
So Adom Fufu party is coming off tomorrow. And it's going to be exciting. Come with your asanka. And from us, from the studio right now, we are going to eat our fufu.
That is news
It's the end of news test. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.